Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week I want, This week I wanted to talk about how I approach game making and how I think that I'm wrong. In the past, over the past 4 years or something, I've been slowly making a bunch of small-ish games that tend to blow out in scope, and then I never complete them, or it takes so long for me to complete them that they never really go anywhere. And I think that I'm doing things wrong. Because I think about it the same way that I go into writing music. With Color Jumper, like really the first game I ever made, I spent a ton of time making it, and then I released it directly to Steam. I tried to get it on all the platforms. Eventually it got onto the Switch. But I feel that that's kind of like releasing an album after you've written your first 10 songs. Whereas you can totally do that, and there's nothing like wrong with that in any way. It's just I feel that the process of making things doesn't necessarily have to end in an album when it comes to music. Like sometimes you can just make stuff for fun and put it on SoundCloud or share it with your friends like directly without having to be like, this is going to be in an album and I'm going to put it on Spotify and then I'm going to be a millionaire. And it's like, well, no, that's not really how it works anymore. And I feel like I've been taking that approach with game development where I feel like everything has to be a fully formed, completed, like polished piece of media. And that's just not how it works, like creatively. And I've been really struggling with this paradigm for a while now, especially with Pandemonium, which is kind of on that threshold between like, haha, this is kind of a funny meme thing. And it's also kind of like, well, this is a serious game and it could potentially like bring a lot of enjoyment to people. And I've been approaching it with the idea that it's like, oh, well, this needs to get on Steam. Maybe I can get it like ported to a console at some point. And I have like these grand, huge plans for it. And it's just like, dude, maybe you should finish the game first and see if people like it. Because of the pandemic, I don't really have a whole lot of play tests that I can like bring this to and have people try it out. And I need to chill the hell out when it comes to that. So I'm thinking in 2022, and this is going directly off of what I was just talking about in the prior episode, I think I need to chill the heck out and make a lot of weird little games. And to do that, I want to like just mess around with mechanics and try things out. And if people enjoy like one specific thing, then yeah, maybe I'll make it into a bigger thing. But at the moment, I feel like I really need to figure out game theory and how to build something efficiently and all of this other kind of minutia that I've been kind of glossing over in the pursuit of creating a finished project. And I feel that this is something that a lot of new creators struggle with. I know I did when I started writing music. I simply just wanted to make things and put them out into the world. And that's not how it works a lot of the time. And I have been struggling with that with game development, where I just want to make things and I want to put it out into the world. I want to get it on Steam. I want to get famous. I really don't want to get famous. I just want to have enough money to live. But that's not how it works traditionally. Like if I wanted to get famous, I would build, or if I wanted to make successful, in quotes, successful games, like I would build a huge following on Twitter so people would actually advertise for me. It's like, that sounds like a lot of work and it sounds like a huge pain, and maybe someday I'll do that. But right now I just want to build a portfolio of things. And if I was approaching this like the 2-hour track challenge, and this is kind of my plan. If I was approaching game development like I do the 2-hour track challenge, I would do like a game a month, but those games are really small in scope. And there are places and companies that do this where they release one small game every month, and they have a Patreon that revolves around that particular idea. And I want to try doing something like that. And by small in scope, I mean like Pac-Man, but a rhythm game or something like that, which should be possible to do in like a weekend. But it gives me the experience of actually sitting down, figuring out like how to not only make the game, because making the game, the mechanical part of the game is not the hard part. It's making all of the user interactions, making the menus, making all of this extra fluffy stuff that goes on top of the game to make the game actually fun. That's the hard part. And that's the part that I need to get better at. And I feel that what I can do is I can basically make a game pack where, like I mentioned Pac-Man as a rhythm game, and what I kind of want to do is have like a game pack where I put all of these games into the same pack. So like it's like Pac-Man as a rhythm game, and maybe Asteroids as a rhythm game, and all this stuff it's ultimately basic, but it also gives me experience on how to approach and solve these problems in a way that you just can't do. And this is something that I've talked about at great lengths before, where finishing a project is one of the hardest things that you can do, simply because you don't get many opportunities to do it. And I want to have more opportunities to finish projects. So I'm going to try that. That's my goal for 2022. And I don't know if I can do it. Going back to what I talked about in the prior episode, where I tend to overload myself with particular things. My goal for 2022 is to make a pack of rhythm games, maybe like 6 games, like Pac-Man and Asteroids and like Missile Command and all of the other classics, games that are very easy to kind of put together quickly. And the classics are a good example of that. It's basically just trying to write a song based off of something else. You already have kind of the blueprints in place. You just have to kind of fill things out to fit your goals. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. I feel that I'm approaching how to make games incorrectly. It's also the way that most people approach making games, so it's not necessarily bad. It's just that I feel that I need to understand how to finish a project a little bit better. And I think that doing this will help, because I'll be able to create kind of a menu. And from that menu, it'll be like, hey, do you want to play Pac-Man but rhythm game, or Asteroids but rhythm game? And you can choose from that, and it'll just load up the game, and it'll be a separate thing, and then you can just go from there. And I think that will work better, because it'll give me an opportunity to make kind of a cohesive style between these games and help me better understand it. But I mean, considering how uncertain the last 2 years have been, who the hell knows what'll happen in 2022. So like, that's kind of my plan, but I'm not writing it in blood right now. I just want to get that out into the world, because I think that it's an interesting way to approach this stuff. And I want to make sure that I have it down somewhere as at least a soft commitment to actually trying it. Plus, everybody loves rhythm games. And the next thing I can do is I can do deck building games, because deck building games are also very fun. But, you know, they require a different set of skills, and like, there's a lot of interesting and weird things that you can do with all that. So that's my goal. I guess that's all I have. I hope somebody gleaned something interesting off of this. I'm mostly just talking out loud at this point, because I feel like that's the best way for me to like plan. But I really don't know. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for being a Patreon supporter. It means a lot to me. I hope that you have a fantastic weekend, and then I will talk to you in the next one. Be remarkable.